What's up, everybody? It's been a little bit quiet on our end. There's been a lot of work that's been going on in the background for Far Away, but I'm happy to say we're getting to some stuff we can actually share. Fievel just got back from his absence, but also not really because he has a seasonal job. Aww. So we decided to start a voice call and get on the same wavelength. From there, I put together a more in-depth task list with a compendium of everything we'll need to do for the game, at least on the gameplay front. I don't want to think about publishing the game yet. Okay, so here's the part of the video where I was going to talk to you about the lore that we're writing. I wrote a skit to just kind of like, transition into that segment, but it wasn't funny. It was funny in my head, but it's not funny. So now I guess this is the trend. So, I watched a Fallout show, and I got to thinking, like, what if, in a post-apocalyptic... I know how to say that word. I promise. So what if, in a dystopian world, the settlements that do form get bored, and naturally, they hand some guys some sticks and make them duke it out for their amusement. Something you see a lot in the Fallout universe is that when you remove law, order, morals, things devolve to look a lot like things you would see throughout history. Take, for example, raiders in Fallout. In the absence of anything or anyone that would disincentivize plundering, you're going to find raiders. The same could be true for, gladiator fights. And then I thought, what if there was some sort of unhinged ruler that is desperate to entertain his people, afraid that if he doesn't, the violence will spill out into regular society? So he'll throw some extra slime monsters at you if you're doing too well. And maybe the audience can throw tomatoes at you if you're not doing enough bone crushing. I'm not going to give away too much more details, but you can see how far we can take this idea as opposed to the big old pot of nothing I was sitting on prior. Now that we've talked about some world building, let's talk about some progress we've made development-wise. I wrote a rough draft of a melee attack for the player, while Finney got an enemy spawner up and going that would spawn units at random positions in the scene. Next, I set up how we handle weapons. The way we want it to be is that there are 4 weapon slots. I was faced with the task of how to handle that, ultimately landing on using dictionaries. Effectively, what that means for our case is associating several different attributes to one variable. Creating a new weapon and code would look like this. Then we can really easily access that by doing this. In this instance, we have a pistol that does 2 damage when its bullet collides with an enemy. In the future, we can include variables like fire rate or speed and so on. Point being, this is dynamic and could scale to whatever the project needs it to be. By the way, the music playing in the background was made by Fievel, and he's actually just coming off recovering from a dislocated shoulder. To be clear, we didn't force him to make this track with a dislocated shoulder. It was before that. But yeah, so just, shout out there. Also, something that sidetracked this video was something that I want to briefly talk about here. It's this idea to really make modding Gladiator really easy. And when we were looking into it, we realized that Godot kind of just supports that already. So while we will need to optimize it for our game and whatnot, modding is a feature we intend to support pretty heavily, and something we'll talk more about later down the line. That's about all we have for you today. And also, you can now get Faraway merch at farawaygames.store. If you want to support us and get a cool hoodie, shirt, water bottle, sticker, feel free to do so. We try to make it as cheap as possible. We just kind of like the novelty of having a merch store, I guess. Also, Ko-Fi supporters have a promo code. If you're a supporter and want to grab some merch, check the most recent post to find that code. It'll change from time to time. Thanks for watching, and thanks to our supporters on Ko-Fi. See you in the next developer log.